Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Physique Cast. Really happy to announce another guest on today's episode coming to liven things up a bit. Mr. Ryan Conwell, someone who I've had the pleasure of knowing for a few years now. We got to know each other when I first applied to actually be a coach under him, back when he was coaching, but he's since gone on to do some awesome things. I love his mindset and what he stands for. So I just thought it'd be fun to bring him on, help you guys get to know him a little bit more, and hopefully provide some good entertainment value. Ryan, how you doing, bro? Thank you very much for coming on here.
Good man. I'm glad you just reminded me that that's where we started. A DM saying how does this work? And I think I'd already filled the space by that point, hadn't I?
You know that you had the funny thing is not only how we've both evolved since then. I want to say that was like 2022, later on 2022, I want to say. But not only where we are now 3 years later, but also funnily enough, whenever like an opportunity like that arises, I always find myself like in the middle of something. So I remember I literally just dropped you a message. I immediately regretted it because I didn't even say like, "Hey, bro, hope you're well." I'm usually like very sort of, mannered and things like that. I was just like, "Hey, is this still?" I was just like, "Is this still available?" And rightfully so. I think you first turned me down. You were like, "Hi, mate, hope you're well." Basically everything that I intended to write on there and be nice and polite. And
Yeah.
you're like, I don't think you'd be the right fit anyway, just with like niche and stuff like that. But here we are, 3 years later. Everything turned out okay.
I think at the time we were working with like 40-year-old or older women in the USA going through like menopause and stuff like that. And I was just looking at your page thinking, yeah, I don't think that's gonna vibe with that ideal avatar. Obviously, Alex, who we went with, is like totally different. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it was a good move, and hey, we're here today. So clearly it was the right decision.
Everything happens for a reason, 100%. Ironically, I say that I'm adaptable. So I dare say, if you'd given me the chance, I would have proved myself being able to work
I
with.
think you would have ripped your hair out, bro. I was ripping my hair out at the time. Yeah, there was a reason why we stopped doing that. We went back to work with dudes. So there you go. Which you would have been a perfect fit for at that point.
That's valid. That's valid. But mate, since then, obviously, you've now effectively completely wrapped up the coaching side of things. Do you wanna give people just kind of a bit of a background of like who you are, where you come from, what you're doing now?
Yeah, of course, man. How far back do you want me to go? 1997, day
You,
one.
you can talk about being molested at childhood. You can your parents being killed in an alleyway. You can go that far back in your hero arc, or you
I'm
can
absolute Batman.
skip
Yeah.
to the basic.
Wait. So I guess we'll probably talk about where like everything changed because I guess that would resonate with somebody that might be in that position. So I actually used to work in a fucking food factory, which for me was like the lowest of the low points because I would say I'm somebody like with an ego and always expected a lot from myself. And when you're about like 18 years old and you find yourself standing in a food factory packing boxes of crisps for 12 hours a day, you're like, maybe you're not the guy that you thought you were. Maybe you're not that good, bro, which I wasn't at the time. But after doing that for like, I would say, yeah, um, I knew that something needed to change because waking up at like 6 a.m., well, 4 a.m., I think it was a fucking time, going to a food factory, standing there all day, being like ridiculously stressed and depressed, literally until the point where my face was covered in psoriasis. It literally looked like I'd been like in a fire. It was that bad. Like my stress levels were that high. I just knew that something needed to change. And I was sort of standing there thinking like, what do I want to go do for the rest of my life? And I wasn't thinking from a place of like helping anybody else at that point. When everyone starts their personal training journey or their coaching journey, they're like, I want to help the world. And it's like, no, I just want to get out of a food factory. That's it. So standing there, I was like, what's the thing that like I look forward to? And I always used to skip college. I always used to skip work and call in sick and go to the gym. Just as like I'm having a bad day, I'm not coming in, but I'll go to the gym instead. So I was like, well, realistically, if I was a small cookie, I would just work at the fucking gym. Because like that makes sense if I'm skipping work to go to the gym. Like let's just go get a fucking job at the gym. So I actually went through a PT qualification. It was like 12 weeks. In that time, passed my driving license. Left that, went to DW and biker, spent about a month there. Mum and dad came back from Portugal. They're like, why the hell are you not at work? I was like, oh, I've sacked it in. They're like, oh, great. Have you got some clients in the PT? I'm like, nope, but I will. Trust me. It was like another 30 days later, I got my first one. Took fucking ages to get one. And then over the course of like 5, 6 months, we went from like, well, I went from like having one client to I want to say like 30 or 40 and made like 5.5 grand a month. Absolutely fucking crushing it for like a 20-year-old kid. I was like, all right, you're the man. This is it. Bought a nice new BMW. Thought I was the fucking shit. COVID then slapped the fucking shit out of me. Lost everything. Obviously, first year of business, so it's like no funding, no support, no nothing. Back to stacking shelves at Sainsbury's. Felt fucking stressed and depressed again. Came back to the gym, built it back up super quick. Realized that I couldn't rely on that bullshit. Went online. Within 12 months, was doing 20 grand a month. Got sick of that. Hate training nutrition now. Like to the point where like, I can't stand talking about it. And me and Kevin have literally just sat for 20 minutes before this, planning out how he's going to deliver training and nutrition in my portal because I don't want to fucking talk about it. That's what happens when you work with 80 one-to-one clients and have to do 80 check-ins on a Monday. Uh, and now I just help coaches build their business because my passion is marketing and sales. That's what I get joy from, purely. Not training nutrition at this point. So me and Kev have I had worked together for 5 or 6 months or something around there. And whenever I work with a coach that has the passion for their clients and training and nutrition, and I just bring my knowledge when it comes to marketing and sales, it's usually a pretty fucking good outcome. So that's
I'd say it was a very productive. It was 6 months. I was like, I wanna commit to this for like half a year, see what we can do. And a near 4x return, I'd say, is a pretty decent ROI return on investment.
big.
So yeah, no complaints there, bro. You helped me massively. That's something that I'll scream from the rooftops. And if there is someone who's coaching, watching this, and you feel like your bottleneck is specifically kind of the marketing and sales side of things, I take big pride in my coaching ability. I love helping clients. Um, I'm not as sick of it yet as Ryan was probably getting. I still love to be in the gym myself. I still love seeing people have their lives impacted in that way by getting in shape. But when it comes to building the life of your dreams in general, I think there's going to be those weak links in the chain. I think something that people very often steer away from in any avenue, be it fitness, where people like going to the gym, but they just won't like dial in their nutrition. They wonder why they're not still getting body their dreams. Be it something like your business, where maybe you've got fulfillment locked down, but then some of those other areas like marketing and sales, you're only as strong as that weakest link in the chain. I think a big kind of a changing force for me was when I did start to go a little bit more into the sales in specific with you, because I think a lot of people self-employed and coaches or otherwise have this kind of preconceived notion that sales is a bad thing. It's something pushy. It's something hard. And funnily enough, I'm still learning this from you now, even going back to the call that we had the other day where you're teaching to kind of like, put it back on who you're talking to. If someone's like, oh, this person tried to hard sell me, where it's just like, well, why do you think we got to do that? One of the biggest things that stops people from getting where they want to go is their limiting beliefs. So yeah, we've got to sit here and talk you out of you being your own worst fucking enemy. So I think when you realize that the sales is just articulating that value and helping people, see what you're trying to do better, it becomes a much simpler game where you're not there to take someone's money. You're there to just show them like, look, I can change your life, and if I got to be a bit of a dick in this 30 minutes to help you change your life, I'm willing to be that dick.
You know what it is? I think if you ask somebody who has a negative mindset around sales, what does sales mean? What is the meaning of sales? What's the definition of sales? It'll be a negative definition. To me, the definition of sales is just the transfer of belief from one person to the next. So it's like I think if you're on a call and you have no certainty, no conviction, no belief in the product that you have, then yeah, you should be pretty fucking bad at sales because all you're transferring is that belief to somebody else. If I was on a call with somebody and my conviction was through the roof, like this pill will change their life, like if they didn't sign up, I would drive to the house, strangle them, and fucking shove it down their throat. Like that's how much I would believe in it. But like between that extreme and that extreme, people normally lie somewhere on this bottom end. But if you're somebody like yourself who has the social proof, has been through the journey, knows what it takes, know you can help somebody, it's purely just a conversation of I know this and I need you to know this as well. That's
Hmm.
it. Because most people's biggest problem is procrastination and they stop themselves.
Big time, yeah. And I'm curious when you're at that point where either in your own journey, as you mentioned, things were just shit, frankly speaking,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to think of like how to put this because as you mentioned there, it's that fuck already lost my train of thought. I'm the worst podcast host on the planet. Oh, that conviction side of things, it's almost kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg? So how did you get from say, where you're at? What was kind of those milestones along your journey, either in kind of the PT to online? Was it just kind of the lessons that you learned and just taking the risk with no belief? Because I think if I almost kind of go back to when I was struggling with the, getting this coaching thing going, it was kind of almost that something that we talked about when I came to yours, a big part of my problem was just that belief. And somehow I already had like a good portfolio of results at that point, but especially on the business things, I just had a lot of limiting beliefs, and I was holding myself back on the sales. I wasn't charging what I was worth. When it came to the marketing, I was being very conservative in the message that I was putting out. I didn't think that it could be done in that specific way, and that's something that you really changed in me. You've got some pretty ruthless, I guess you could say, world views, and I'm sure we'll touch on that in a little bit. But I'm curious how you came to developing maybe those views in general and taking heads. Was there a timeline when that started, and how do you start that upward spiral of getting that proof when maybe there isn't any at that time?
Yeah. Good question, dude. I think I just watched Disney too much as a kid. My imagination was just too wild. Now I think it comes down to I think it comes down to the person a lot. So like even like I said at the start of this, when I was in the factory, I like what I think made me like feel depressed and have extreme like stress levels was like the desire for more and knowing that I was capable of more, but not knowing how to do it. So I think from my standpoint, and I've self-analyzed, I think I have a pretty big ego, and that's just me being honest and upfront. When like a challenge comes in front of it, if I see somebody else doing it or have done it, I instantly expect myself to be more capable than them. So if somebody's crushing it in a mentorship, I'm like, well, if they can do it, I can do it, and probably better as well. If I'm looking at like the PT, why did I leave my job and just go all in on PT with no clients? Well, because there was trainers at the gym. Can we say the R word, the hard R word on this podcast? Let's just say that. Let's just say that they were dumb. All right. Uh, and they had clients. So I was like, well, if they're capable of doing it, I'll do it. Let me just dive into this shit. If you think about the when I went from in-person PT to the online, done the exact same. I literally just messaged all my clients, got them all in, told them that I'm leaving in 30 days. Like, this is it. Where did like the blind belief come from to be like, it'll just work? Same with the mentoring, like we're doing fitness online, blah, blah, blah. Right, that's it. Going all in on mentor. Like ads turned off, stop spending this, move over, stop making content, start speaking to people. Let's fill that fucking show up. It's like there's these huge risks, but sometimes like what's the bigger risk? Like not taking the jump and staying where you are, or fucking taking the jump. And I think if you've got that blind belief in yourself, sometimes that's all you need. It will work out in the end if you have that blind belief. I think if you have a lack of that, you got to go do some shit for free. So if I think of like the in-person PT, the only thing I probably lacked a little bit of belief in was like, how do I deliver sessions? Am I a good enough PT? Not like, am I good enough to get clients? Because these fucking morons have one or two or three. So like, I'm good enough to do that, but am I good enough to deliver like quality to these people? So I would do like shitloads of free sessions for in-person PT. When I moved online, I took a bunch of in-person clients and took them over for free and was like, if you don't want to stay after the in 30 days, we'll just leave it. But I'll coach you totally for free. If I think about the mentoring stuff, even when I was doing the fitness coaching myself, I would have coaches reach out and be like, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this? Can you help me with this? And I would do like 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour calls. Like, shit, I help you set up ads and stuff while I was in like Bali. And constantly it was like, you've just helped me more than this like 5 grand mentorship, 10 grand mentorship. But all that was just that was like practice runs before I've even charged anybody. If you look at the mastermind, you might look at somebody in there and be like, God, that's filled up pretty quick. Not really. A lot of those people there, I've built relationships over for like 2, 3 years. You jumped on board pretty quick. I'd helped you multiple times. There's the Les, 8 months prior, I was helping him with VA stuff completely for free. Like there's these people where it's like I've built that relationship just that it works. So back to your point, like where does like the the
The
certainty come
and
from?
confidence, yeah.
I think some people just have it like built into themselves sometimes, but you can always boost it up by just doing more reps and proving to yourself. I think if you look at it on paper when you've done enough reps, it's stupid to go by feelings. Do you know what I mean?
No, spot on. That's spot on. I think regardless of like circumstance, whether you're gonna, commit your doing to it, like, maybe don't necessarily leave your day job just yet, but I think mentally you need to kind of adopt that burn the boats kind of thing. Like at least mentally you need to get to the point where you're like, I'm committing to now this is the plan. And whether I leave my job this very second or when I've got, 30 clients already, I'm committing to the vision at least, that like this is where I want to go. So whether I have to, balance it a little bit more now, build it up slowly, get some results for free to prove myself that I can then do it, or if I'm just so risk happy now that I'm just gonna
Yeah.
physically burn the boats as well as mentally, it's all kind of now geared towards the same thing.
Well, that's it. So like I normally give the opposite advice around that topic to other people is what I give to myself. Like I was like, let's end everything, just go all in. And I always do that all the time. Like end it, go all in, end it, go all in, move. However, like saying that, like I have that belief in myself to be like, I'm not gonna feel stressed over this. This isn't gonna like sit on the back of my brain. I'm not gonna lose sleep. I'm just gonna plow through this and make it work. Not everyone has that thought or feeling or security. So it's like, if I'm sitting there with a client and they're like, well, I've got 5 clients, should I go all in on this? I'm like, not really. Like let's balance these two things to your comfortable point and then move over. If somebody came to me and was like very egotistical, an extreme amount of belief in themselves, I'd be like, yeah, just fucking burn the boats, let's go for it. Because you can tell that type of person would thrive in that pressure and that environment. Do you know what I mean? So everyone speaks in like blanket terms of this is the best, but it's like everyone's so different. It's unreal. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, when we sat and you asked me what's the biggest thing that's going to move me forward, like that I need to work on, I said mindset, and it was, and like you took that and was like, I'm going to go work on my mindset now. Some people would take that and be like, nah, fuck that, that's not my problem. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So everyone's got their levers, and the things that you need to work on, just pull the highest lever. Do you know what I mean?
for sure, for sure. And yeah, because I think it really is just kind of making that commitment. Because I think the only spot that you don't want to be in is where that balancing act of I'm not going to do this until I'm physically I'm not going to do this until I get to this point. But I think at least mentally you need to be like, okay, I'm committing to getting to that point. I think if you're like, I want to go all in on this, but because I'm not burning the boats just yet, I'm just going to give it some half-assed effort. I guess that's the line where it's like, well, if you're before that line, in terms of commitment, then you are just going to procrastinate, like you said, to the point where people never end up actually taking enough action to get through, the atmosphere or whatnot, escape velocity.
I think it comes down to like what somebody's like pain and desire to achieve the thing. So like you've got two motivators, haven't you? One's positive, one's negative. One is I want to get as far away from this thing as possible. One is I want to get as close to this thing as possible. Normally running away is way more powerful for people, but like that burns out very, very quick. So like my biggest motivator was to never go back to the factory again. So like, was it a surprise that I grew the PT business so quick when I was that scared and felt that depressed and stressed back there? And that was the next step down. Like, no, obviously that worked out then. Okay, even when I'm going into the online coaching, I'm still thinking about not going back to the factory. And it's like, okay, well, that still motivated me through it. But like now, I'm in a position where I'm like, I will never work in a factory ever again. Like I think I have the tools and knowledge that even if everything goes tits up, I can just build something back up again. Now it has to be a positive goal. There has to be something else. But I think if you have a positive goal that isn't big enough, it's like, "Oh, I'll just get there eventually." If someone's like, I just want to lose 5 pounds, it's like, and like is that going to push you forward and make you do it? We've spoken about my goals. Do you know what I mean? They're probably in some people's eyes like unachievable, extreme goals. But I'm like, well, if I'm gonna have any chance of hitting them, I need to fucking hurry up. I gotta move forward. We gotta go mad on the ad spend. We gotta push this forward. We gotta fucking boost this. We gotta do this. Like, because the goal's so big, it takes massive action to get there. You can't just sit around and be like, next week I'll launch that. I done the webinar I was telling you about on Sunday. Didn't go to plan at all. Spent all night from I think it was like 8 o'clock at night till like fucking half 2 in the morning, setting the one up to run today on Wednesday. But I was like, you sure you just don't want to run on 7 days? I was like, we haven't got fucking 7 days to wait. I was like, we're doing it Wednesday. This is it. Sure. And so you'll know yourself when you have a fitness client come in and there's pain there that they want to get away from, and you just realize like what is that thing that's going to get you out of bed on a rainy day that you don't want to get up from, their results are extreme. When there's no pain there and there's like, I just want to lose some weight, it's like they barely even do their fucking first workout. Do you know what I mean? Every
Yeah,
time.
that's facts. That's facts. And I'm curious, would you at what point was it a financial milestone, or was it kind of a certain like KPI and like very steady lead flow, or was it when you then kind of took the leap to mentoring that you then kind of made that shift, being a bit less motivated by the pushing factors, and then started to drift more towards the, well, now I know that this is possible. This is now kind of what comes next. When when did the eating shit period? I guess you're still going a little bit through
It
the.
never ends. It never ends.
Uh, yeah, no, it
Yeah,
never.
so I know what you're saying. So like, for me, like hitting 10 grand a month, that was the biggest thing. I guarantee, no matter what we ever hit, like I'll never ever feel like that because coming from a factory to then doing that, it's like, ah, shit, like I am capable. Like that, this was possible. So like 10 grand a month, I still have the Stripe screenshot on my laptop to this day, even though we've done way more. And I'll never screenshot another number because that was the like stamp of approval. Like you are good enough, you can go do this. Now fucking let's see how far we can take this. I don't think if we hit 100 grand a month, I would give a fuck at all. Like I feel like it would just be like oh, that's a cool milestone. What's next? So having realized that, I knew that I had to get like joy and motivation from something else. Because if I'm not pushing towards something or there's not something that's inspiring me, I'll just stop fucking doing it. I'll lose interest straight away like that. So as we spoke, like my goals more now are around impacting other people's lives.
Mhm.
Heads up, if you're a fitness coach watching this, it's not about impacting your life, by the way. So sorry to tell you that. But my goals in the distant future, well, not that distant, is hopefully to impact like children and vulnerable kids' lives and give them opportunities that, otherwise they wouldn't have if you didn't present them with that opportunity. To me, I think that that would bring me mass fulfillment because sometimes the best part of my week is spending time with my nephews, where it's like they're having fun, we're playing around, we're messing, etc. It hurts me to know that some kids don't get that opportunity. Like that's what really bothers me. I don't care about doing 100 grand a month. I think it's cool to help Kev scale his business. I think that's awesome. I think working on sales calls with somebody and them getting a close and collecting cash, that's cool. I think it's nice that if I work with a client, they can give their kids an amazing quality of life. I think like all these things are really cool, but I think what really would like make me sit there on my final days and be like, that was well spent, dude, is impacting kids that don't have those opportunities. So for me, that's my bigger goal. That's my reason for doing this. And all the mentorship is just a stepping stone or an enabler for me to be able to do that. Because you can't impact people's lives unless you have some form of power or money. Usually power comes from having money. Do you know what I mean? So like I couldn't just walk in and start changing kids' lives and give them opportunities, 50 quid in the fucking bank. Do you know what I mean? So I think something I've always been is very honest about what my like agenda is. And I think anybody that ever works for me appreciates that because people aren't like that. So I remember when we first started the online coaching, our email sequence, the first one was just like, I'm a selfish cunt and you should be too. And it dictated how I basically ran the online fitness coaching business for my financial gain. And it just so happens to be that because I'm doing that, you have a life-changing result. So everybody wins. Whereas every coach goes the opposite route. And it's the same thing with this, with the mentorship, where it's like some mentors will be like, I love the impact, I love changing coaches' lives. And it's like, yeah, that's cool, but I want to help the kids. So like by proxy for me trying to help the kids, you'll grow your business, you'll grow your business, and you'll grow your business. So like everybody's happy.
You know what the really cool thing is though? Everyone does end up happy because at face value, it sounds almost a little bit selfish. And like if I'm to reflect on my own motivations, if someone's to ask me like, why do you coach? Why do you want to build this thing? I'd say I'm like equal. I do get genuine fulfillment, which is why I'm still working with plenty of my own one-to-one clients. You've got me to the point where things are growing that I've had to sometimes I even wonder if it's like the right thing, hiring another coach to help me fulfill because I still do love the one-to-one side of things and fulfilling the clients myself. So I had a call with a client yesterday and he went so into his like pain point more than on our consultation call, sales call, whatever.
Yeah.
When we were just having a bit of a catch-up call and planning kind of next phase and a trip that he was going on, and he went so far in on like this has like changed my life. This really is like something. I was like, bro, it brings me great joy to hear that because you are literally like the exact kind of guy that this was designed for. So it lets me know that I'm nicely on the right track, and it's epic that you've done that because I've been there. My whole thing is that I'm not an influencer. I started out in terrible shape, and that's why like second to the motivator for me being like, I do genuinely get to have this epic impact on people's lives is admittedly what is almost maybe a little bit of an ego thing where it's like, I want the acknowledgement that like I'm the best at this shit. So like I want to get to the point where, this coaching approach that I've created now is effectively a household name. It's gotten rid of the other fitness influencer bullshit because these people are born with abs and they don't know fuck all about actual fitness and getting results. So I maybe also have a little bit of an ego problem.
Everyone does, man. It's just people don't like to fucking admit it. Do you know what I mean? It's like I think the best thing you can be is just truly authentic. Because like if you're gonna work with people, you want to work with people that like you for you, not you being somebody else or playing a character or wearing a mask. So it's like if you don't like me or you being upfront about it and saying like, hey, I've got an ego, like, hey, I'm selfish, hey, yeah, like this thing matters more right now. Like, well, what else are you gonna buy into? The people that are just telling you the things that you want to fucking hear.
That's facts. But the best part is that, as you said, everyone ends up winning because it's like if I want to seal the deal and show everyone that I'm the best, my coaching is the best, this, well, at least for like this type of clients, and I think the stuff that I've been working on has pretty good range. It fixes a lot of problems. I was working on a post recently, and I was almost like, this solves too many problems. This almost starts to run the risk of eventually not being niche specific, but having that kind of, mass opportunity will hopefully help with the bigger goal of like eventually being a household name. But everyone by proxy wins because, as I said, I still love the impact that this has. Nothing brings me more joy than when I'm on a call with a client like that and they're saying, like, this has changed my life. This has such a big impact on how I feel, how I, act in life. Epic. But second to that, I can't lie, that brings me one step closer to, domination of the fitness industry.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to get there, maybe I need to start saying this in sales call. Basically, like the whole Wolf of Wall Street thing. It's like I want to be the top stockbroker in my firm, and I'm not going to get there by being wrong. So it's kind of like, yo, I want to be the best, and I can selfishly admit that I want to be the best coach on this planet. Because of that, I need to get you the results. I'll guarantee that I get you the result because that gets me one step closer to being the best. So your life's still going to be changed. This doesn't mean that I want to be the best. So I'm trying to take your money. It's like, nah, I ain't financially motivated. I don't want to just get money off you. My goal here is to be the best. So I still got to get you a result at the end of the day. I still need to change your life. So everyone
That's
really,
it. So it's like if you want to achieve what you want to achieve, people need to benefit from it. It doesn't mean we need to say that our only goal is for you to benefit. You've got this weird thing in the fitness industry where it's like it's bad to do this for money. It's like, no, it's a fucking business like any other business. It just so happens that it's one of the best businesses on the planet because we also massively impact and help somebody else's life. That doesn't mean that we have to be shady and say that it's not about money, though. It's not about our financial gain. It's not about profiting ourselves. Like, yes, it is. Of course it is. Like, at the end of the day, if you weren't good at what you do, clients wouldn't sign up. So it's like to get what you want, you have to deliver on that front. You have to show up. You have to give somebody that result, that holy fucking shit, Kev's actually changed my life, yeah moment. Which, like you say, like everybody wins eventually. You mentioned the whole like taking your heads thing before. So like I'm like you, very egotistical. Maybe more, who knows? Uh, but I also want to dominate the whole mentoring space. So like from my standpoint, there is mentors that have been here for years and years and years. And what comes with that is like trust over time. Me being new into here, I'm like, well, if we're going to clear this out, we're going to have to do something pretty extreme. We're going to have to come along with a brand new offer that's like blue ocean. Nobody else is doing that. Holy fucking shit. Have you heard of BFM? So like to me, I'm like, well, how about we just charge 10 times less and deliver 10 times more? Because then even if they wanted to copy that, they probably couldn't bring themselves to do it because they've been in this place for so long where it's like, oh no, but like we're worth this, we're worth this, we're worth this. But it's like, no, everyone's sick of that shit. Somebody wants something brand new. So for me, I'll not name any names, but there is one specific mentorship you'll know who, when I was part of their thing, they kicked me out for being too competitive. That's right, a business mentorship. You can be too competitive in. uh, and my goal is to just massively like build this way bigger than theirs has ever fucking been. And the only way I can do that is by delivering something for 10 times more value, but 10 times less upfront price. That's the only sure like guarantee. If I do this for the next 5, 10, 15 years, we will dominate that.
I always find it nuts, like how much a little bit of negative energy can carry you. And I think carried out long enough, I think it will like burn the fuck out of you. It does eventually catch up. It's almost a bit like the black Spider-Man suit. But because the other day I was helping my mum move house, and then going through a lot of like stuff from my childhood and stuff. It did have me reflecting on almost kind of like a wow, I'm actually in this position now. It went from, no one thought it could be done. You can't do this online coaching thing. That's crazy. No one knows who you are. This and that. It can't be done. You're earning hardly, you're earning pennies from this. It's give up to now like it's I'm now in this position, and it made me realize almost like what you said, about overtaking, a specific someone. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if it's an ego thing for me or if it's almost just kind of trying to prove to myself that I can. Maybe it's actually the opposite of an ego thing. Maybe I don't have an ego, and maybe I'm actually just trying to finally prove to myself. Maybe I didn't hear I'm proud of you enough as a kid or something, and now I'm trying to prove to myself that I can get there by using enough kind of like fuck you energy.
I think that's your ego talking though, like to feel like you have something to prove to even yourself.
That's the kind of paradox, isn't it? It's kind of like, is it an ego, or is it a lack of ego? Is it enough kind of self-doubt that I'm almost kind of like desperate to prove it to myself? But is that the ego that makes me want to prove it to
It is a
myself?
paradox where it's like, to me, the, the person who says they don't have an ego, that's probably their ego talking, saying like, I don't exist. It's like, nope, there you are. Like that was the sentence that proved it. But the thing is everything like ego and these things, they have very negative connotations towards it. It's a perfectly normal human feeling. Like it's a perfectly normal human like trait and behavior. Sometimes on an extreme level, it's not normal, but anything on an extreme level is not normal. Somebody being happy on an extreme level, that's not natural either. That can be very, very detrimental. Somebody caring is good, but extreme caring is very, very detrimental. So it's like ego's the same. Like a healthy amount of ego, that's great if that's going to push you forward. An extreme amount of ego, well, that's not fucking good. I think like you've I think if you're going to achieve anything that's outside the normal, you got to have a little bit of ego about you.
Yeah.
Because where the hell would the belief come from that you're better than somebody else? Or let's just say the average person. And by the way, like if you get offended by me saying like the average person, then you must be happy to sit below the average. And the average these days isn't very fucking hard to achieve. Like if you look at the average across any metric, it's abysmally awful. But if you're happy to be below that 50%, like you sit there, that's cool.
Yeah, mic drop. Mic drop moment, fair fucks. Um with the whole, taking heads thing, that could be seen as like a bit of a cynical view. Do you now view the taking heads thing almost kind of like, as we talked about that, going back to the pain of the factory, what would still be, almost a bit of a pain getting kicked out of a previous mentorship. Would you say that now the taking heads thing has almost kind of evolved from, a negative energy to now kind of just a stepping stones to those bigger goals of yours that you're being pulled towards now?
The only person that I generally I say don't like. Yeah, probably don't have like any like fond feeling towards. I have a bunch of positive things that that person has done for me to allow me to be here, but I wouldn't sit here and say that they're a great person. Is the person only now that I'm trying to surpass, and I would say it's like I'm trying to take their head. Everybody previously to that, I actually quite liked. Like they were people that I just looked up to. That's all it was. So like when somebody hears like taking heads, they imagine like me with like a battle axe, like running on fucking horseback and taking your fucking head clean off. It's like it's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the person who's like two or three steps ahead of me, has the fucking life that I want to have, and like I'm not there yet. It's like I'm looking up to that person, being like, if I can take your head, just meaning like I surpass you, then I'm just one step closer. I'm happier, and it always just moves to the next person. So like there was a PT in Newcastle who like great life from like looking for the outside, had clients, all that sort of stuff, and I was just like, I'm just gonna take that guy's head. Like I just want to pass him. I don't want people to be like, oh, he's a really popular PT in Newcastle. People be like, oh no, it's Ryan. Like Ryan's the one that's always busy. Ryan's the one that always gets referred people. Ryan's the one that's just built it so fucking quick. Do you know what I mean? So it's like I don't think it's ever been like a negative thing at all. I think it just like it says, it gets labeled as a negative thing because of the words that are in it. But that's people's perception, and you can't. It's hard to change somebody's perception. Do you know what I mean? It's my game that I play with myself to push myself forward. And like I say, the only person I'm not fond of that I've ever want to take their heads is probably the current one right now, which is ironic. Do you know what I mean? So it almost started from like just a positive place, and now it's getting to like a fuck you place. I'm gonna fucking surpass you, which is like the opposite way around of what you said, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's cool actually, because I suppose that then almost comes like full circle to the whole, taking action, building things up, taking the next step, building things up, and it's almost now what was previously almost like an unachievable level. I heard a cool one the other day that was like, stress is the gap in your goal. If you're here and the goal is like so far away at the moment, then you're going to be much more stressed than if you're thinking like, just the next meter, then the meter after, then the meter after. I guess now that you're then closing in on that is now where it's like that's now close enough that now the fuck you bit starts when you're a PT, someone who's making a fortune in the mentoring space. You're not thinking negatively at all about taking their heads because they've still got your head firmly firmly in their grasp
On the
instead.
pedestal. Yeah, but that's it. It's like if what's funny is like obviously one of the videos inside the poll is about mindset, and I talk about taking heads. And clients go through and watch that, and they fucking message me saying, "I'm coming for your head." And I'm like, "Motherfucker, you're never gonna take my head. You just fucking stay there." And we just have like a bit of like backwards and forth, like laugh about it because it just ain't that fucking serious. But the way that somebody like perceives something just changes everything. If you're going to look at something through a negative light, then it's negative, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? If you're going to look at it through like it's a game, it's a bit of a play around, then it's a play around. I remember there was that mentorship that I was in. There was a guy in there. Again, I'll say names. He was like a Mr. World bodybuilder or whatever it was. Dude's like fucking 6'4", black guy, jacked, like insane shape, like firefighter, like very, very well accomplished. And when we were sitting there talking, at the very, very first event that I went to, which was in London, I think we just hit like a 12 grand month. And obviously we just passed that 10K. I'm like, fucking hell, we're smashing it. And he was at the end of the table and he just hit a 14 grand month. And all my brain went to was, we need to fucking crush him. Like the next time that we go to this event, which was the next one in Dubai, we need to like surpass him massively. And we ended up coming to the Dubai one. I think we just done like an 18 or 17K a month. And I think he dropped down to like 9 or 10 or somewhere around there. I can't remember 100%. But and we met up and I said to him, I was like, hey, like for like the last 3 months, I've just been thinking about taking your head. Like that's been my thing, is just surpassing you. I was like, that motivated me to make sure that when I came to Dubai, like my revenue was in front of your revenue from like a competitive standpoint. And he turned around and he was like, I'm going to make sure by the next event that my revenue is in front of yours. I'm going to take your head. Jerry. And it was a nice interaction of like, yeah, we've got two people that are going to push each other forward. There's no negativity around it. It's not like aggressive. It's not like I want you to suffer and starve. It's like I'm going to push you a little bit further and you're going to have to push me a little bit further. But it's like that's you can see why he had that mindset. The guy's a firefighter. He's a very, very well accomplished bodybuilder, great in business as well. Like you can see why he had that like positive perspective on it. It wasn't negative. It was purely competition, and that's it's not bad these days. Do you know what I mean? I should hope that when you signed up with me, you were like, I want to build a bigger fitness business than Ryan, because wouldn't it be cool to build something bigger than the guy who taught me something? Like, of course it is. Clients say that all the time. Like, but I'm not going to look at that and be like, God, you're a piece of shit. Why would you ever do that to me? Do you know what I mean? It's like, nah, I fully support you in doing that. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's facts, bro. It's a
You don't have to say any names, but do you have somebody in mind where you're like, I want to surpass you? Or
now that I think about it in that sense, almost kind of taking heads, almost kind of like a as a sign of respect. I think there's something cool inherently of that story that you told because I think there's a huge flex in even just entering new levels in terms of like new rooms because it's the old kind of work until your idols become your rivals kind of thing. When you start to get onto the same level as someone that that previously was kind of out of reach, that's when you know that you've been taking steps forward. It's easy to second guess your progress. Comparison in general, I think gets demonized. And I think the only way that comparison becomes a real really bad thing is if you're comparing shit that doesn't matter or stuff that you can't control, because then you're going to drive yourself insane, of course. But like if someone runs a race, someone's got to come first, someone's got to come second. That comparison exists for a reason. It's standard setting. But when you get into the next heat, the next level, when you're in line with those others that previously were that far ahead of you, that's when you already know it's not debatable at that point. You've taken steps forward in said avenue. So now that I'm thinking about it in that kind of lens, it's like, well, I definitely know what echelon or tier I'm kind of aiming for. So 100%, there's someone in the in the fitness space. Admittedly, they've got a lot of followers, so I know there's still a lot of work to be done to get to that to
Eddie
get
Boo, come for you.
to you know what? The crazy thing is my ego maybe is high enough where I'm like, you know what, in some regards, I don't want to be viral. The metric isn't followers. It's literally like lives changed. And there is someone out there who has a really great lifestyle approach because almost similarly to what you said about yourself, like I kind of learned a lot from some of these guys. So it's almost now the irony of it's like, well, now I want the student to become the master, where it's like they've got a great lifestyle approach. They will have changed lots and lots of lives, and it's now my ego now wants to get to the point where it's like financially, I probably wouldn't even care if like he was making a little bit more than me or something. If he had a little bit more, recurring revenue or, he charged a little bit more, I almost wouldn't care. If I have the bragging right of like, but I've got more results, then it's like, well, now I'm the household name. People trust me more. I've got more results. My shit works better. So maybe it is, a bit of an ego thing there, but I can definitely think of someone who's very well known in the industry that I therefore actually do respect a lot because I learned a lot from him. Not only in the early days when it came to actually my training and nutrition, but even now I find myself listening to a few podcasts where he talks a little bit more about like business as well, where I'm like, that's the level that I want to be playing at, and eventually take his head out of a sign of respect more than like I'm now on this level more than like I
Yeah.
hate this guy.
Well, that's it. It's like, if you look at like, if you look what you said there, it's like you're choosing what metric to go from. It's like you're dictating the rules of the game. So you're engineering the rules to be in your favor. That's all I'm doing. I'm going for the whole taking heads thing. It's like it's my game that I'm playing, and these are the rules that I want to fucking play by. So it just means that like if you go and play by somebody else's rules, you're never gonna fucking win because it's constant. It's bad comparison. It's like, oh, I'm not good enough. Like I need to be better. Like I'll never do it. Blah blah blah. It's like now I'll just engineer the rules to be in my favor, and I'll move towards that. So I'm like, great, another one gone, another one gone, another one gone. If you think about like sports stars, etc., they've always got somebody that they'll look up to, and they might have watched them when they were a kid and they were performing, and they come to the back end of their career. You think about like Adesanya when he fought, who was it? Brazilian guy, UFC. Um,
Have
now
the faintest clue.
he massively respected him and watched him coming up. And it's like even when they came to their fight, he beat him, but he didn't like beat him to a pulp, if that makes sense. He like held back from it, but you could tell that he'd always wanted to beat his hero, but it's like respectfully. He wanted to beat his hero respectfully. So it's like that's what I mean, where it's like taking heads sounds brutal, but I want to surpass you and I don't want you to crumble. I want you to still be doing good and progressing, but I just want to be ahead of you. That's all. It's just competition. Just just because you want better than somebody else doesn't mean that you want them to crumble and die. It just means that I just want to be one step ahead of you. That's it.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
some of your biggest competition could be some of your best friends. Yeah, dude, I'm helping a coach at the minute with some ads. This coach has made way more money in his fitness business than I ever fucking did. And when we were at a mentorship together, I sat on the settee and told him, I'm going to take your head in the next 6 months. We're still fucking good friends to this day. Like sometimes the closest people to you, that's the best competition because then it's never done in a malice way. It's always like, I just want to have the bragging rights over you. Dude.
I was just about to come onto the concept of the whole friends thing, literally just before you mentioned that, because that's where my head was going. The second you mentioned like you just because you want to be above doesn't mean that you want others to be, significantly further behind or something like that. It's a healthy comparison game. And funnily enough, one of my fondest memories of coming up was when I was living with Charlie Breeze in Newcastle. It's like you've got two aspiring coaches living in a flat together. There's always going to be, we it's funny because I think because we were both struggling so much more significantly at the time, there was almost that next level holding back. We were almost kind of like scared to like share wins with each other because we didn't want to kind of be like, we're both struggling right now, so I don't want you to feel like you're struggling even more if I have anything to gloat about. But there was always that kind of element of like, look, if we want to make it, then we got to put in the work. So it was always just us two doing our thing, and it was just kind of therefore it was just bit by bit up and up and up. So no, I get that 100%.
I love when I see like, like brothers or sisters come through sport and they both achieve like a pinnacle. And you just know those motherfuckers were the most competitive like brother and sister or brother and brother, sister and sister that there ever was. Like you think about like Serena Williams and Venus Williams. Like you can't tell me that both of them wanted to be better than the other one. And that just propelled the both of them to the highest of heights. Like,
Yeah.
of course it did. Do you know what I mean? If you think about, you think about somebody like whether people like it or not, like the Tate brothers. Yeah. They always say like they do this together. There's definitely an ego there between the two of them that's like, yeah, but I want it to be the main one, but I want it to be the main one to a certain point where it's like, okay, well, like we are doing this together, but there has to be a healthy competition between the two of us to push this. Do you know what I mean? If if I had somebody like, which I feel like I don't really speak to like other mentors and stuff right now. If there was somebody there that was like somewhere around where we were right now and they were growing at the same pace, yeah, I'd probably work another 4 or 5 hours a fucking day as well. Do you know what I mean? And again, it's competition's healthy in the right way. It's not negative at all.
Spot on, bro. Spot on. Well, I think you've got a healthy mindset when it comes to all things progression. I think it's clear that you're measured enough that you're not gonna let that ego make you become a dictator, invade other countries, etc.,
I
etc.
thought about it, I thought about it.
It's clear that it's something that propels you enough along the tracks to keep taking steps up, which I think is what everyone in their right mind wants at the end of the day. But I think that's a cool little insight into the mind of Ryan Conwell, and I think it hopefully gives people some cool little reframes if they've been listening to this when it comes to just getting a bit more out of life, seeking out progression, and rising on up, taking a few heads along the way. So. Mate, I think that's already a spot on place to wrap up. So I appreciate you jumping on massively. Maybe it would have been smart to do this at the start, but I suppose now that people have been listening, I guess anyone who does come towards you is going to be a very, very warm lead. So do you want to sort of plug, what you're doing, what you're about, where people can find you, etc.?
Yeah, so if you go to www.takenheads.com, you'll no, I'm joking. Uh, just, just go to my Instagram, which is Ryan Conwell underscore BFM, and just watch the free shit. Don't have to message me anything. Don't have to go through a VSL. Don't have to hop on a sales call. Don't have to join the mastermind if you don't want to. Just go watch the free shit. If you find any value from it at all, drop a like or a follow, and I would appreciate that. But that's it.
Epic, man, epic. Yeah, well, I can vouch that the free stuff works phenomenally well as well. That's what got me signing up with Ryan in the first place. I remember the days where I needed a little bit more guidance. I think there's always value to, as people have probably picked up through this podcast. I think Ryan has something in common with literally anyone who wants to rise, which is people know shit that you don't. Simply, always pays to invest to get that knowledge, take steps ahead, take more heads, and yeah, so he helped me out massively. I still have not taken his head, and we'll see if eventually I do get to that point. But bro, I appreciate you massively coming on, spitting some wisdom and facts, and we'll catch up for sure. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I do hope that you've been able to take some epic things from this as well. I think this is a great example of a mindset and some very applicable reframes and things here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll catch you in the next one.